So a good while ago, we got the announcement that Drive Forms will actually be making a return in Kingdom Hearts 3. Now this is something that's very special because of course Drive Forms are the shit. They were the shit in Kingdom Hearts 2. I still remember when I was playing Kingdom Hearts 2 for the first time actually a couple months ago, and I finally got into using Drive Forms, of course going up against the Lingering Will and stuff like that, and of course the Data Organization 13. They were a very cool thing that you could use to not only get your health all the way back up, not only give you a second to breathe and actually develop a new strategy while of course you were transforming, but also they were these boosting of power that just seemed kind of OP. You felt like a badass when you was in final form. I know everybody when their first time experiencing final form, and when you just get to feel how much different it feels from every other, of course, drive form, and how perfect it feels. You're like, man, if only this game played like this every single second. If I didn't have to go out of drive form, if only, man. And I know we all had that feeling, of course, when we first felt final form. Well, it seems like in Kingdom Hearts 3 we will be getting drive forms. Now I don't know if this could be subject to change in the future, because if you remember, Tetsuya Nomura stated once before, or actually he had two statements about drive forms in two different periods. Now I think this was early 2014 or early 2015 that he said he didn't know whether or not drive forms was going to be in the game. They haven't come to a decision about it. And then of course later on in 2015 he said of course that drive forms weren't going to be in. Fast forward now to of course October of 2016, and drive forms have been officially announced. And just because it's been officially announced does not mean it isn't subject to change, because when you think about it, Sora has so much stuff that it's at this point maybe they're just trying to see if they can actually put drive forms in there. But the drive forms that we're going to be having in Kingdom Hearts 3 do have some significant differences, and without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is that drive forms apparently won't be the same thing. Now, when you hear drive forms, usually you think about those changes in Keyblade style, the combat changes and stuff like that. And while I do believe that combat changes will still be in, just because of what we've seen out of this screenshot, it doesn't seem like we aren't going to just be using Keyblades. We aren't going to be able to have better magic that has different properties and stuff like that. Fire and stuff, the way how fire in final form actually had those 3 rings and stuff that surrounds you, that was kind of quick. The magic became real snappy and stuff like that in final form and in other forms as well. Drives actually gave magic different properties, or different kind of stuff to work with. Magic became kind of different in a sense. Keyblades in some way, form, or fashion became kind of different. The way Sora attacked became different. But this time it seems like drive forms will actually be based on the Keyblades themselves, or the Keyblades themselves will have some type of, mixture with the drive forms. So I feel like this is going to be something that we all have to find out, something that will be found out over time. It's going to be a long process after Kingdom Hearts 3 releases, and people start to beat the game. They really start to get everything that they possibly can, testing every Keyblade that they can with every drive form to find out exactly what's going to be the best method to beat certain beat certain enemies and stuff like that, beat certain bosses. Of course, we know Tetsuya Nomura was talking about multiplayer type ideas. Maybe they're going to have time attack and stuff like that in there. Certain bosses from the story mode in the higher form, kind of like the Data Organization 13. We're going to have to work our way up to finding out what's going to be going on, or what's going to be the best sets that you can have for each drive form, what Keyblades are going to be best to put with that drive form. Because if you look at the drive form that if you look at the screenshot that they released for drive form, you realize it looks like Sora is holding something completely new, something that we've never seen before. It's a weapon that's completely illuminated. You can't even really make out any details about the weapon. Now this could be because they haven't put the detail on the weapon yet. This may be just a placeholder kind of weapon just to show it off. Maybe this is what it looks like when the Keyblade takes on the transformation from the drive form. Who knows? But from what we get to see, it looks like, of course, the Keyblade itself actually transformed into something completely different. Now, I just wanted to throw this little tidbit in there. To me, this thing kind of looks like a weirdly shaped bat. And if this is a weirdly shaped bat, then of course, is this a hint at a Chicken Little world, my niggas? Because, you know, Chicken Little, he loved playing baseball, and he was a summon, and I think Kingdom Hearts 1. So, I mean, not Kingdom Hearts 1, I think Kingdom Hearts 2. So, obviously, maybe they finally put Chicken Little in a Kingdom Hearts game, my niggas. Finally. And it's like, yo, it's gonna be so sick. But, of course, enough about that. Let's just go ahead and get right back into the screenshots. Now, the next one we have is the guard type. Now, the guard type utilizes what appears to be, once again, another transformation for the Keyblade, which was the Hercules Keyblade, or the Mount Olympus Keyblade that has Zeus on it. Of course, if you remember when Sora actually was creating the Lightning Chariot, he actually transformed his Keyblade. I think it became like a little gauntlet on his hand, and then he threw it up and it transformed into this big shield looking thing, and then it actually transformed into the Lightning Chariot. Now, you guys know me. If you don't remember that, I will have it showcased in the video for you guys to be able to see it. Now, of course, this new guard type here looks like, of course, is going to be based off of a shield. So does that mean every Keyblade will have a transformation that's going to be offensive and a transformation that's going to be defensive? Who knows? But I don't feel like that's going to be the case. I really feel like these drive types influence the transformation of Keyblades, or maybe drives and Keyblades will be like connected in a sense that we don't really understand yet. Maybe that's how they decided to bring drive forms back. But I mean, I don't really have too much to say about the drive forms because no new special detail was brought out besides the fact that, hey, the you know, Keyblade from Olympus that was transforming and stuff like that, one of its forms, or one of like its, the way how it appeared in a few scenes, will actually be like, you know, a kind of shield of sorts. But let me know how you guys feel about these drive forms. I mean, I feel like they're going to be so cool. They're going to be so much more intricate than the drive forms we had in Kingdom Hearts 2. If you remember, in Kingdom Hearts 2, you pretty much took up a transformation, and depending on where you were in the game, who you were fighting in the game, you pretty much just became a complete badass if you knew what you were doing. And I mean, when I first got used to final form, it was like I literally didn't use any other form, because it was like final form just gave you like the changes, the proper changes in magic that you needed. It gave you like the ability to use magic a lot more snappy. Of course, defense was heavy, because when you jumped and shit like that, the Keyblades defended you. When you glided, the Keyblades defended you. When of course you use reflect, you actually had the Keyblade spin around you, which just gave it a little bit more extra damage and stuff like that. It was like everything that you could do with final form was just so much more badass than anything that you could do with the rest of the drive forms. But now it seems like there's going to be like a switch between the two, so you're gonna have to switch, find out what's best, what's going to work. And I feel like that's going to be something that's going to be a lot more better for, of course, people who want that new Kingdom Hearts experience. So thank you guys for tuning into the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This has been your boy Amaziah. Don't forget to do a little A-class gaming, and everything you do, don't forget to keep it A-class. And I hope to catch you guys in the next one, man. Peace the heck out.